Hey, what's up, guys? It's Aladdin here with the Chase DA Sports Handicapping YouTube channel, and I'm just by myself here because I don't have anyone to record the video with me. So I'm just gonna do a little preview video. This will just be like my first thoughts on these fights, and I wrote notes down, so it's not like I'm just blindly going into them. But I mainly was just focusing on the main card. I didn't really touch the early prelims, like all these ones down here. But I was seeing some people, they were liking Mickey Gall in this fight right here. But I'm just gonna move past that. I don't really know too much about those guys. But my first fight that I have for you guys is Ian Garry. This guy is sick. So he's 8-0, and he just fought, I think, a few months ago. I think it was back in UFC 268, and he knocked his opponent out. It was, I think, his first or second fight in the UFC, but he looked really sharp. His striking was on point, and I think he'll do the same to this guy, this Darian Weeks guy. 4 years younger. You got a five inches taller, and then he's 2.5 inch reach advantage. And I think Darian Weeks, I wrote it down, he did lose to Brian Barberena. So that's all you really need to know, is that if he's losing to a meat shield like that, what do you think Ian Garry is going to do? And I think he's going to knock him out. I think he started out at minus 250, and now he's like minus 400. Yeah, minus 400 on Bovada. So, yeah, I think he's a solid favorite parlay piece. I think he gets it done. I think he just gets it done inside the distance, but I'm just confident in him that he'll win. So just put him in your parlays, and he should get the job done. So that was the only one I had. I think I had. Honestly, this one's a toss-up fight. The odds show it too, but I think if you want one good underdog pick for this entire, there's not a lot of good favorites on this card. Not too many good underdogs. But if you want a good underdog, I think Tybur at plus 110 is a good look. Don't get it by decision. I already learned that heavyweight decisions just don't pan out. Even with how slow Rosenstruck fights, just don't do it. I think Rosenstruck, his output is really low. He's like a kickboxer. I think that's what his background is, and the guy's really tough. Like I think he went 3 rounds with Curtis Blades, and I forget who else he went 3 rounds with. His only really bad loss is that Francis Ngannou knockout, which I think is totally a fluke one. It happened in like 17 seconds, and the guy's flailing his arms around, and the guy's a freak of nature anyways. But I would stay away from this one. I think it's just a toss-up fight, and it's dog or pass for sure. I just think paying minus 130 for Rosenstruck, unless you really think he's going to win, I'd stay away from that one. So moving on to the main card here. This is where all the good fights are anyways. This one, I actually am very... So this was very last minute. This Gastelum versus DDP fight, Dricus Du Duplessis fight, and I think Gastelum will win, but where that guy is at his career, paying minus 155 for him is just an absolute no-go. Just no value in a guy who's just looked not himself ever since that Adesanya fight 3 years ago, and he has just really, really struggled. And this Duplessis guy, he's a kickboxer. He only has one fight in the UFC, but he looks really sharp. His striking's very sharp. Probably another one where you should stay away, or at least get the underdog or pass, because I honestly it's so hard to say, because I think if Kelvin Gastelum doesn't win this fight, gotta imagine he gets cut from the UFC. I mean, the guy has had some just... Granted, he's fighting a lot of the top guys, like Hermanson. I think he fought, like, Whitaker or Till. And then, like, Vittori. So, all those top guys he's fought, but he hasn't done anything against them. Like, literally nothing. And I know DDP isn't a top-level guy at all. But I think if Gastelum really can't win that fight, guy's got to think about something else in his career. So probably another dog or pass one for sure. I think plus 125. I got to watch more film on this one, but I think he was fighting Imanov, Gastelum before, and he was like a plus 170 underdog, and I thought Imanov would have destroyed him for sure. But I'm just gonna move past that one. Um, this Latifi versus Oleinik fight, they have it scratched off. Maybe he got pulled, but I didn't write anything down for it. Another sweaty heavyweight fight where both guys are just not at 100%. If you're going to take something in that fight, probably just take it by finish, probably, because both those guys are really fat and old, especially Oleinik. Guy has like 80 pro fights. So, moving on from that one. My favorite out of everything in this entire weekend, out of all of these plays, my favorite one by far is Khamzat Chimaev versus Gilbert Burns. And the play is for the fight to not go the distance. That means that either one of these guys can win within 3 rounds. And it's only minus 275. And Khamzat he's 10-0. He's 8 years younger. He's 6 inches taller. And he has a 4-inch reach advantage. And granted, should he be minus 700? No, I don't think so. He hasn't faced a top 10 opponent, and the guys that he's faced are sort of mediocre, but the way that he's putting them away is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, in his last 5 fights, he's gotten punched 4 times. Show me one other person in UFC history who has gone on that many fights with that little damage. I mean, that's ridiculous. And I just think under 3-1 for a fight to not go the distance is really good in this one. And I think Khamzat will just do the exact same thing. He's just going to pick Burns up, bring him to his corner, and just wear on him. And hopefully he gets it done under 15 minutes, because I think he will. And I'd be sort of surprised if he didn't win this by at least submission or knockout. I think he wins by submission personally. And everyone's like, oh, Gilbert Burns, really good on the ground, really good jiu-jitsu. But I think if these guys are standing, Chimaev can easily win that exchange. I know Burns, he has heavy hands, but I think he could easily win those exchanges. And when it comes to takedowns and takedown defense, Burns will be completely dragged to deep water. Khamzat, I mean, you could ask everyone that he's trained with. Literally, the guy just doesn't get tired. He's an unlimited gas tank, and his will, the guy is just so hungry. He wants that belt. And I think Burns, where he's at in his career, I think he's almost 36 years old. He doesn't look 36, but I mean, he's getting up there. And I think between the top competition in this at 170, there's Usman and there's Colby and there's really everyone else. And I think honestly, I think Khamzat does definitely have a chance against both of those guys, no doubt. That's really, I think, the best play for this fight. I think there's so much line movement with these fights. I got Khamzat when it first opened up at minus 375, minus 400 in 3 or 4 of my bets. But I mean, it's just completely skyrocketed and gotten out of control. Minus 700 is almost unplayable. And you'll see the next one. It's even almost more unplayable than that. And for the next one I had is Alexander Volkanovski. He's doubled in price. He was, I think, minus 450 to begin with, or minus 475, and now he's almost 10-1 favorite, minus 900. He will get to 10-1, probably even more before the first bell. I mean, for him to win by decision is minus 150, which I think is, I would not take that. Maybe in a 3-round fight, but in a 5-round fight, I think he could definitely take KBZ down. And look at his last fight against Ortega. That fight should have definitely been stopped after the 4th round. The guy couldn't stand up on his own. His eyes were swollen shut. And a lot of people say Volk, he's a decision fighter. He sort of is. I could agree with that. But I think in a 5-round fight against a guy who's KBZ, who has not the best chin. I mean, the guy got knocked out with 1 second to an up elbow. And he's only on a 1-fight win streak against Dan Ige, who I don't even think is like... I mean, if Dan Ige fought Volk, I think Volk would be less of a favorite, to be honest. I mean, I haven't really been entirely impressed with KBZ the last few years, to be honest, or really his entire career. And Volkanovski, I mean, the guy is on a, I think, 21 or 20 fight winning streak. Hasn't lost in a decade. And I think he's 3 years younger. He's 33. And he's just been preparing for this fight hasn't been preparing for KBZ, but just preparing for a fight. Well, I think Chen Sung Jung, he just sort of got this call a little late, and I just don't think he's going to do anything in this fight. He's going to get taken down probably more than 10 times, to be honest, and he's just going to get smothered there. So I think just take him. I know horrible odds here, but I think I don't know. Will the fight go the distance? I just know Volkanovski's going to win. So I think if you're really confident that KBZ won't get dominated, take Volk by points. But I think he will finish inside the distance, though, just because it's a 5-round fight. He'll open up some exchanges. The last fight I wrote down is definitely my most suspect one, and that is the Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling, Actormain Sterling, as most people call him now. But Petr Yan, so I just finished watching the replay of their first fight and his fight with Corey Sandhagen, and I remember watching these both live, and what I even noticed more is, man, is that guy a slow starter. I'm not sure if he lets the opponent get gassed first, or he just has a slow cruising to get up to speed. But man, the first 2 rounds of both those fights, he wasn't really doing that much. I know in the Aljamain he was doing those sweep takedowns, which are pretty effective, honestly, if you get those going. But especially that Sandhagen fight, he lost the first 2 rounds of that fight, and was losing the third until he dropped him with a straight jab. And I really think that Petr Yan will win this fight, but I think that Aljamain, if he can maintain his gas can and not get tired, which was his biggest problem in this fight, I think he could really, really be a problem for Yan. So I think the best area for this fight would probably be to live bet it. So I think wait until after the first round, and if you could get Yan, he's minus 575 here. If you could get him minus 2, half of this maybe, and then throw him in a parlay with Volk or someone like that, or a big tennis favorite, definitely do that. Because I think if you're paying almost 6-1 for a guy who's really slow and you know he's going to come out slow, why would you pay this much when you know you could get almost half of that probably? I just can't see Yan coming out of this fight and just steamrolling Sterling. Maybe he will, because he's upset and he's mad at this guy for how he stole his belt. But I think I mean, look at, will the fight go the distance? The 5-round pick 'em basically. Like I said, the best way to bet this fight, I think, is bet Petr Yan live after the first or second round. And I think if you could get him, especially under minus 200 live, just bet him straight. And that should be the best way to bet that fight for sure. So what I didn't throw it in this video, but I'm going to be sort of playing the long shot game with this card. So here was the play that I created. Honestly, the only one I'm really suspect on in this entire one, even just a little bit, is Garry, just because, the guy he only has 8 fights, and he's only been in the UFC once. But I think even without him, you could get minus 138. I think I mean, Tyson Fury is one of the best boxers in his weight class and alive right now. So I think you'd have to be really dumb to bet against him. And I think he's fighting in Wembley, his home stadium, basically. He'll have the crowd behind him. I mean, the other guy, Dylan White, didn't even show up to the press conference, one of the press conferences. That's all you got to know. He's scared. He's going to get bitch made. He's going to get dominated in every facet. Fury, he should easily win that. Like I said, fight to not go the distance, and Khamzat Burns. That's a really good value. That's probably our favorite value right there. And then, like I said, Volkanovski. Guy's going to dominate. And I really wish I would have made this video earlier, because I had a few plays with just Khamzat to win and Volkanovski minus 185. Had really good odds on that one. And I added a few tennis ones to lower it because that's not the best payout. But, I mean, these three right here I think are a solid play. And I know Tyson Fury isn't until like April 27th. But just wait a few weeks. I mean, the guy's going to win. Play the slow game. It'll take a few weeks, but these are locks right here. That's what we call in the business. These are locks. And if you want to add Petr Yan, if you think he's going to win, you get plus money right there. And I'm not 100% sold on Petr Yan. Like I said, I think he's going to win, but I just can't pay this price when I know he's going to lose the first round, or at least make it really close where I could get him a better price live. And I know for a fact I won't be able to do that with Volkanovski or Khamzat. So I think Yan live is the best play for that. But I think this is my ultimate play. I'll put it on my Twitter. I think I'm gonna make another video for this card with JD and Evan. But for right now, I'm just gonna make it with me. And these were my final thoughts. And hopefully I could get you guys some winners. And I'll be back soon. Peace.